அன்புடன் நமது கிராமங்களிலிருந்து ஆரோக்கியா பால்.
Hi, welcome to episode 4 of Ramayana with Anuja. Thanks so much for joining me here today. In the previous episode, I told you about the marriage of the princess of Ayodhya, and we left on a very happy note. There had been 12 years of pure bliss, and things were going to change a little bit. Now, what had happened was Bharata decided to visit his maternal grandfather. His name was Ashwapati, and he was the king of Kekeya. This was Kaikeyi's father, and her brother was Yudhajit. Yudhajit had sent a messenger saying that Ashwapati wasn't keeping well, and so it was decided that Bharata would visit. And of course, Shatrughna also had to go along with his brother because they were never far apart, and the two of them left, and it was not a big deal. You know, he was just going to visit his grandfather. But Dashratha noticed this, and he decided that the time was ideal to do something he had always wanted to, and he immediately summoned all his ministers. He said, "I'm getting on in years, I've done my best by the citizens of this great land. It's time now to pass on the torch. Do you have any thoughts on this?" And immediately everyone felt that the time was right. They thanked Dashratha for everything he done, and then they couldn't hide their excitement over the fact that Rama would be crowned the king. The love and admiration for this prince was so great that they all had big smiles on their face, and Dashratha was so happy seeing that his son was loved so much, and he sent for Vashishta. He said, "Let's not waste any more time, let's perform the coronation immediately." And Dashratha sent for Rama, and he told him, "I've decided to crown you tomorrow itself." Something told him that he should hurry. He felt a strange premonition of disaster in his heart, and he felt that there was a certain need for haste, and so he said, "Prepare yourself. Vashishta will tell you all about the rites and rituals you should perform tonight, and be sure to do all that correctly. On the morrow, you are going to be the king of Ayodhya." And normally, when people are told that they've just inherited a kingdom so smoothly, there'll be some emotion, right? Now, Rama was definitely not that sort of guy. He never coveted anything, definitely not a kingdom, and as far as he was concerned, it was a duty. So there was a certain serene look on his face, and he thanked his father for this honor to serve, and he left with Sita. He went to his mother Kausalya, sought her blessings, and he went to meet Vashishta and start performing all the stuff that he would need to do with Sita. Now everything was going smoothly. The decorations were done and people were gathered on the streets. The news spread like wildfire. There was dancing on the streets, there was music, so much happiness, and there was just one person who was extremely unhappy. Everyone knows this character. She's Mantra, and she was an old hunchbacked woman. And it's kind of unfortunate that people assume that if you have a disability you're automatically evil, but it's just sad that we have this. And Mantra plays to the stereotype, and she was grumpy and grouchy, and she said, "I think the timing is highly suspicious. Bharata has just left, and the king makes this decision so suddenly." So she made her way quickly to Kaikeyi's quarters, and she said, "Kaikeyi, you're sitting here and relaxing. Your future is at stake. You should do something immediately." Kaikeyi just stretched and she said, "What's bothering you, Mantra?" Now, Mantra was her nurse, and she'd raised her from when she was a baby. So there was a certain comfort zone there, and she said, "Okay, tell me what's bothering you. Why are you so grouchy, even more grouchy than usual?" And Mantra immediately, she told her the news. She said, "You and your son have been cheated. Bharata has gone to Kekeya, and Dashratha has used this opportunity to make Rama the king." And Kaikeyi was very happy. She loved Rama just like everybody else. She said, "This is wonderful news, Mantra," and she took off her own pearl necklace and very lovingly she gave it to Mantra for being the bearer of good tidings. And Mantra just snatched that pearl necklace and threw it away. She said, foolish girl, your entire life has been ruined and you're sitting and giving me gifts to celebrate the occasion." Kaikeyi was still not very upset about the whole thing. She felt that Mantra was just fussing. She said, why don't you relax? Rama loves me even more than his mother. He loves Bharata as well. So why are you so anxious? He'll be a good king. Bharata will eventually get his turn. That's what she said. And Mantra immediately said, you're still a child. You're so naive if you think Rama is going to hand over the throne to Bharata. Do you know what happens usually when brothers fight over the throne? Rama will use his advantage, he'll use the army, he will kill your son, and you will be left childless. This is what's going to happen. Is that what you want? And when she started talking like this, Kaikeyi, who was usually a sensible woman, started to freak out a little bit, and Mantra pressed her advantage. She kept on saying we should do something, and Kaikeyi asked her for suggestions. She said, okay, tell me what to do and I'll just do it. And Mantra immediately reminded her. She said, Dasharatha owes you 2 boons. Do you remember? You went and fought with him in his battle against Shambara. Now this was a very epic clash. It was between Indra and Shambara actually, and Dasharatha was such a brilliant warrior that Indra had enlisted his aid. Now during this battle, Dasharatha had become wounded, and Kaikeyi was a hell of a woman. She was a brilliant charioteer, and she fought to keep his enemies at bay. She drove him to safety, I should say. And at that time Dasharatha was so grateful to her, he promised to give her 2 boons, and at that time she said, I'm just happy you're alive, and she brought her husband back home safely. And Mantra reminded her, she said, he owes you 2 boons. So for the first boon, ask that Bharata be made the king and Rama should be sent into exile for 14 years to Dandakavana. And she said, go rip your garments, take off all your jewelry, remove your plaits, leave your hair undone, go to the Krodha room. Apparently in those days in the palace, a room for when you lose your temper. And she was sent there, and Kaikeyi flung herself over there on the floor, and she started screaming and wailing and tearing out her hair. She basically behaved like she had a fit of hysteria or something. And Dasharatha meanwhile was in an expansive mood. He was very happy that everything was going smoothly, and he arrived and he came to visit, to relax and unwind in his favorite wife's palace. And he was so shocked to see that she was not there. Usually she would come there and she'll have drinks waiting for him, refreshments, stuff like that, and she wasn't there. So he went looking for her, and then he was told that she was in the Krodha room, and he was quite shocked. He went there, and she was crying and pulling her hair and all, and he asked, what's wrong? Please tell me what's wrong, I will fix it, just talk to me. And then she said, promise me that you will give me what I ask for. He said, I promise. And she said, promise me on Rama's life. And Dasharatha should have suspected something, but he promised on Rama's life, and Kaikeyi knew that he would keep his word, and she hadn't. And then she told him about the 2 boons she wanted from him, and Dasharatha was absolutely heartbroken. He said, all this time, you were my favorite, I ignored my other wives for you, and now you've stung me like a scorpion. And he begged her to change her mind. He said, Rama has been a son to you. Has he ever given you cause for offense? Why are you doing this? And he said, if your son Bharata accepts the throne which Rama is intended for, then he is no longer my son. But Kaikeyi wouldn't be moved. She said, you've given me your word on Rama's life, do it. And she immediately called, Dasharatha couldn't bring himself to do it. So she sent messengers and she said, bring Rama here. And when Rama came before her, as usual, he was very respectful. He touched her feet, his father's feet, but she couldn't look into his eyes. And she looked away from him and she said, listen, your father has given me 2 boons and now he's going back on his word. Rama said, whatever it is, I will take care of it. Don't worry about it. I don't think there's any reason for you to be angry. And then she told him, the throne must be given to my son and you must go into exile for 14 years. And Rama, again, that's the great thing about Rama. Whether when he was told he was going to sit on the throne and be a king, he didn't react too much. When he told that it had all been taken away from him, again he didn't even blink. He said, Mother, it's a pleasure to carry out your wishes. And he touched her feet, his father's feet. He said, I will spend those 14 years in exile as you wish. And he turned to leave without a backward glance. And Dasharatha, he was crying and calling out to his son because he couldn't imagine life without Rama. And Rama went, he told his mother Kausalya what had happened. Lakshmana was never far from Rama, so he'd seen everything that had happened and he was very, very angry. Lakshmana told Rama, father has always been partial to Kaikeyi, now she's gone too far, I will win this kingdom for you and you shall sit on the throne. And Rama immediately said, see, this is treason, what you're talking, my father is the king and we will follow his wishes. And he also said, please do not insult my mother Kaikeyi. He said, do you remember Lakshmana, from when we were boys, she's been nice to us, she's been so affectionate. Have you forgotten all that? Because of one thing she has done today, does all that cease to matter? So Lakshmana, as always, he obeyed his brother, but he was still very unhappy about this. He said only one thing, he said, if you're going into exile, I will go with you. And Rama said, of course, I can't be separated from you either. Then the two brothers went and Rama told Sita that this is what has happened, and he was worried about how she'll respond, and she kept quiet, she didn't say anything. He told her, just do one thing, look after my father and my mothers in my stead. Okay, I want you to do that, take good care of them. And then he said one more thing, please don't praise me in front of Bharata, it's for your own safety, do these two things for me. And Sita said, what are you talking about? I can't do this. And Rama drew back. She said, my place is by your side. In good times and bad, I will be by your side. That's, what a good wife would do, and I am a good wife. And he tried to dissuade her. He said, the jungle is not safe and stuff like that. She said, no, you're the greatest warrior in the world. Why should I be afraid? You will take care of me. So it was decided that the three of them would go. And once more, Rama gave away all his possessions and he went to bid farewell to his father. Kaikeyi had garments of bark for them to wear, and they put it on, and they started to leave. And Dasharatha immediately said, I want the best chefs, the best tailors, artisans, I want them all to go with my son. Kaikeyi said, what, you're going to empty the treasury and give my son nothing? He's supposed to go into exile as an ascetic. And immediately, so Dasharatha again, he said, evil woman, I don't know what you get from this, I'm going to die because of you. And he started speaking like that, very melodramatic stuff. So Rama again, he told his father, don't worry father, I don't need all those things, I will be fine, all I need is my bow. And he had the bow, which was a gift for him from Varuna, when he had returned Vishnu's bow to him, which he had won from Parashurama. So he'd been given a bow, a quiver of inexhaustible arrows and armor, body armor, which was arrow proof basically. So he said, these things are enough for me, and he took his weapons and the three of them left. The citizens started cursing Dasharatha and they followed Rama and Lakshmana into the forest. Rama and Lakshmana and Sita were somehow impervious to the agitation all around them, and Dasharatha's charioteer Sumantra was assigned the task of leading them into exile. And the citizens were cursing Dasharatha and Kaikeyi, and they said the king is old and he's pampered his youngest wife too much, and there was a lot of invective being hurled at them. And the citizens decided to follow Rama into exile, and Rama told them, don't insult my father, don't worry, I will come back, and it's just for a short while. It's not a big deal. And he tried to send them back, but the citizens wouldn't go. So that when night fell, they were on the banks of a river, and Rama, when everyone had fallen asleep, he asked Sumantra to take him to lead them away from there. And he also performed a little trick. The charioteer was asked to give the impression that he had returned to Ayodhya and then circle back, so the citizens would think that they'd all gone back. And after this deception was played, Rama, Sita and Lakshmana wound up in Shringiberapura, which was the kingdom, a small kingdom which belonged to Rama's friend Guha. And they stayed there, they spent the night there, they lay under the stars, and Lakshmana was very unhappy, he couldn't sleep that night, and he was talking to Guha about how fate is, and it just went, they passed the night that way. And the next day they made it to sage Bharadwaj's ashram. They took his blessings, and he told them to spend their exile in Chitrakuta, a very beautiful spot not too far from there. He gave them directions and sent them there. And now meanwhile, back in Ayodhya, Sumantra had returned and he told Dasharatha everything, and Dasharatha was broken hearted. he scolded Kaikeyi like anything, but she didn't really respond, and he refused to have anything to do with her. He kept having fainting fits, and finally he went to Kausalya and he stayed with her and Sumitra. His love for his son was way too excessive, and he started pining away. He wouldn't eat anything, and it was obvious that he was dying. And he'd keep fainting, he'd keep complaining about what Kaikeyi had done. He talked about how much he missed his son, and Kausalya did her best to comfort him, but she herself was very, very unhappy about how things had turned out. And then eventually, when he was just close to death, Dasharatha started losing his vision, and that's when he realized the truth, and he told Kausalya, "It's all clear to me now. I now realize what has happened." And he told her about an incident from his youth. He'd been quite a brilliant hunter, a great archer, and he had a certain skill where he could shoot at his prey on the basis of sound alone, without seeing where exactly it was. And he used to like testing the skill of his. And one day he was waiting by a watering hole, and he heard what sounded like an elephant, drinking water. He released an arrow and he heard a mortal cry, and he was very, very upset. He went running and he saw that his arrow had found a mark, and a young boy had been fatally wounded. Dasharatha was absolutely filled with remorse, and he knew there was nothing he could do. He knew that it was a mortal wound, and the person he'd wounded was crying out. He said, "I haven't hurt anyone. Why have I been hunted and killed like an animal?" And Dasharatha went to him and he said, "I'm so sorry, this is an accident, I wish I could take it back." And Sharavana was this was Sharavana, he introduced himself, and he was a very, very sweet boy. He said, "Okay, I know there was no intent to harm, so I forgive you." He said, "The pain is really bad, so why don't you remove the arrow and end things?" And he said, "Before you do that, just one thing, my parents are both blind, they are very old. I came to fetch water for them. They are very thirsty. Please take this water back to them and apologize to them. Hopefully they will not curse you because they like me very much." And he said, "Do what you can to look after them." And again he gestured to Dasharatha to remove the arrow and end it. And it was a very, very painful thing to do. But Dasharatha removed that arrow, and with a final gush of blood, his life leaked out of him. And Dasharatha filled those pots with water. His hands were shaking. He went to that aged couple, and immediately they knew it was not their son. They said, "Tell us what happened to him." And Dasharatha, his voice faltering, he said, "I'm a sinner, I'm a wretch. I thought I was hunting an elephant, but I accidentally killed your son. Please forgive me. Allow me to be a son to you. I'll make sure that you lack nothing. I'll take care of all your needs." And the old couple, they were very, very upset. They asked to be taken to see the remains of their son. They couldn't see, of course, but just to that spot where they could say, some prayers for his departed soul. And once that was done, they turned to Dasharatha. They said, "We will not live without our son. We will kill ourselves. But you will also pay for what you've done today. You will also know what it's like to lose your vision, to be and to lose something that is so dear to you, a son who's so precious to you." And now that's the strange working of memory. Dasharatha had forgotten about it, because if he'd remembered, then maybe he wouldn't have been this attached to his son, because he would have known the curse will go into effect, right? So his memory had kind of fogged this information, and he did not know it. It was only at his, as he drew closer to death, that he realized cause and effect, and he knew he must accept all this. He told Kausalya all this, and he was crying again, and Kausalya comforted him. She said, "We are all puppets in the hands of fate. Please be strong, Rama will come back." And in the morning she left to go to her apartment and get something. She didn't realize that Dasharatha had breathed his last. Now he had 4 sons. None of them were present to perform the funeral rites. So Vasishtha had his body preserved in oils, and they sent word to Bharata. Now Bharata was having bad dreams, and he told that to Shatrughna. He said, "Something's wrong. Something terrible has happened and I'm so scared." And suddenly there were messengers from Ayodhya. He said, "See, this is related to my dream." And they went down, and the messengers had been instructed by Vasishtha not to reveal anything. So they only said, "Goddess Lakshmi has smiled on you." And Bharata thought that was a very weird answer, and he couldn't understand why he was being summoned back. But he told Shatrughna, "Grandfather will want to send lots of gifts and all. Let's not delay. Let's go back. I have a feeling something's wrong." Bharata and Shatrughna returned with all haste to Ayodhya, and Bharata felt that his worst fears had been confirmed. He told Shatrughna, something's definitely not right. There's an air of mourning in this place, and I get even more frightened as we draw closer. Usually when we come home I'm happy, but now I know that something unspeakable has happened. And he tried to find his father in his palace. He wasn't there, so he figured he would be with Kaikeyi, and he went there, and Kaikeyi stood there, and she said, I have good news for you. You are now the king. Do your duty. I have won you a kingdom. Do your duty. Then what is that supposed to mean? And then Kaikeyi told him everything that had happened, and she expected that he would be happy. But Bharata was furious. He was so furious. He was literally shouting at his mother. He said, how could you do this to me? In our entire history, no younger brother has tried to snatch the throne from his elder brother. How could you do this to me? You've disgraced me. And he pulled out his sword. He was that angry, and he pointed at her and he said, you know what's stopping me from killing you right now? It's the same person you've exiled. He would never ever forgive me if I kill you where you stand. So I'm going to spare you for his sake. Think about that. And Kaikeyi also was still defiant. She said, don't be childish. The throne is your birthright. Take it and rule. He said, I will not do that. All your plans have failed. I will never ever ever sit on the throne which belongs to my brother. I am going to go right now and I am going to bring him back. And Bharata immediately went. He spoke to the ministers. Vashishta calmed him down. He said, I had told Kaikeyi that you would never accept the throne won in this manner. You've proved today that you are my student, and I'm very proud of you. And then he said, calm yourself down. First, the last rites have to be performed for your father. It was very, very heartbreaking for Bharata and Shatrughna. The Rama wasn't there to do it, and Bharata told Shatrughna, father will never know peace till Rama performs the last rites. But he did everything. He offered gifts to the poor. He followed all the procedures, and then he summoned the ministers again. He said, I'm going to go find Rama and I'm going to bring him back. And all the ministers said it was a good idea. They went with him, and before going, he stopped to meet Kausalya, and Kausalya looked at him with suspicion. And she said, congratulations, the throne is yours. And Bharata said, you've also misunderstood me. You think I planned all this with my mother. You think so less of me. And Kausalya immediately felt bad, and Kausalya and Sumitra consoled him. They all formed a huge retinue, and Bharata summoned the army, because a king has to be escorted by his army. He said, we will go and escort Rama. And they made their way across. They followed Rama, Sita, Lakshmana's footsteps. And at Guha's kingdom, Guha wondered if Bharata was coming with an army to kill Rama. And Bharata said, I'm very unfortunate that everyone suspects me like this. And then he asked about what all Rama, Sita and all had done. And he told how, the brothers had used sap from a tree to make their locks matted. And Bharata immediately did the same. He also traded all his clothes for bark, and he and Shatrughna used the sap to mat their hair, and they also followed Rama, Lakshmana. They crossed the Ganga at the same point, and they went to Bharadwaj's ashram. And here I should mention that Bharadwaj consoled Bharata, but he also said, don't hate your mother. What she did will prove beneficial to all of mankind, so don't hate her. So the epic exonerates Kaikeyi as well as Mantra. This very horrible incident involving Mantra. Back in the palace in Ayodhya, she would have come before them with her hump decorated with jewelry which Kaikeyi had given her. And when he saw this, Shatrughna started beating her. And again Kaikeyi went and she asked Bharata to make him stop, but he wouldn't listen. So Kaikeyi finally said, Rama won't approve if you hit an old lady like this. So Shatrughna also stopped, and Bharadwaj here at the ashram, he told, don't hate Kaikeyi, she's just a tool of fate. So the point here is we should not really judge them for their actions. There were factors we don't understand at play here. This was the mysterious design of fate apparently. So Bharadwaj tells them this, and he sends them towards Chitrakuta. And Lakshmana, when he sees the battle standard, when he sees that the army is approaching, he'll tell Rama, Bharata has come here to finish what his mother started. I will kill him with my own hands. And Rama said, what nonsense you're talking about, killing your own brother. And he told him, you're thinking very unworthy thoughts. If I ask Bharata to give the kingdom to you, he will do that in a heartbeat. I know my brother. Wait and see. he's not going to come here with any bad intentions. And Bharata drew closer. He and Shatrughna ran ahead, and Bharata cried. He embraced Rama. He told him everything that had happened. He asked for forgiveness. Rama also was heartbroken when he heard that Dasharatha was no more. So first he performed the last rites for Dasharatha. Very humble offering was made, but Dasharatha's spirit was mollified, and then Bharata told him, you have to come back and rule. He tried to persuade him. He used all his powers of persuasion, but Rama said, no, my father had granted this boon. I will not betray my father's memory by doing this. And then Bharata said, fine, if you insist on not returning, then I will serve the exile in your stead. Rama said, no, that is not in accordance with Dharma, but thanks for the offer, you go back and rule. So Bharata finally, he said, okay, I will do my duty, but I will only rule in your name. And he had bought Rama's padukas, the footwear which were to be used for the coronation of Rama, and he asked Rama to put on those padukas. He lifted it up, he placed it on his head. He said, I will rule in your name. I will place these on the throne and I will rule in your name. And Bharata returned, and he was as good as his word. Throughout the course of the exile, he was only in Nandigrama. He placed the Rama's footwear on a throne there, and he ruled in Rama's name. Meanwhile, Rama, Lakshmana and Sita, they were a little heartbroken after everything they'd heard, and they decided to go further into the forest. And I will tell you all about that in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget, you have to hit like, share and subscribe to our channel. Remember to do it, folks. Thank you very much again.
நலம் அன்புடன் நமது கிராமங்களிலிருந்து ஆரோக்கியா பால்